So in the last lecture, we saw the basic circuits for cascading circuit, right? We drew the circuit for one of the circuits, which was A plus, B plus, B minus, A minus, B minus, right? This circuit we drew by the normal method, and then we used cascading method to draw the circuit for A plus, B minus, A minus, right? So this circuit was drawn using the simple method. In exam you can draw this circuit using the simple method also, that is perfectly acceptable, no problem about that. But for this circuit we have to use cascading method because the simple method does not work for this system. So the best thing to do is, rather than remembering two different methods for solving these two kind of situations, you can always remember this cascading circuit. The cascading circuit can be used in any condition. Okay, so yesterday we saw what were the rules for cascading circuits and everything. Today, initially in the first part, what I am going to do, I am going to draw the cascading circuit for A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. After drawing the cascading circuit for this, we will have completed our pure pneumatic circuits. Okay, so in the exam, what they can ask you to draw the pure pneumatic circuit for either of these two motions, either the first motion or the second motion. But generally in exam, pure pneumatic circuits aren't asked so much, but still it is in the syllabus, so I have to teach you, so I am covering this. And after this part, I will be moving on to the electropneumatics part, right? The electropneumatics part is much more important because this is the question which is most commonly asked, right? So we will learn electropneumatics, and then I will teach you how to convert an electropneumatic circuit into a electrohydraulic circuit, right? Or a pure pneumatic circuit into a pure hydraulic circuit, right? That part will be covered today in this lecture and probably the next lecture. This part will be covered in probably the next lecture. Today we will see how to draw the cascading circuit for this particular condition, and we will start with the introduction for our electropneumatics, right? So as we have to start the question, so let us first write the question so we know. So we have to draw pure pneumatic circuit for the piston motion A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So if you remember yesterday's lecture, you will know that the steps that we have to start off with. The first step that we have to start is find the number of piston cylinders that are required. So it is A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So there are two alphabets, A and B. So we require two piston cylinders, right? So first of all, we will draw two double acting cylinders. That will be our step number 1, right? So I will just remove this cushioning part, right? So this is our step number 1. We have drawn two double acting cylinders. Now always to control a double acting pneumatic cylinder, we require a 5x2 direction control valve. So there is a 5x2 direction control valve for this piston, and there is a 5x2 direction control valve for this piston, right? So here are the two 5x2 direction control valves. Now what is the next step? The next step is to mark the limit switches. So first of all, I will have to name the cylinders. Let this be cylinder A. This will be cylinder A, and similarly this will be cylinder B. Okay. After that, what we will do, we will have to draw the limit switches, right? So we just have to mark the limit switches, the positions of the limit switches. First will be A1, then will be A2. A1 shows that the piston is completely inside, A2 shows that the piston is completely outside, right? Okay. Then what do we have to do? These 5x2 valves, you have to remember that these 5x2 valves will be pneumatically controlled. So it will be, pilot operated on both sides. So we'll draw the pilot operated symbol on both sides. Here there will be a compressor, exhaust, Yes, this can be done afterwards also, but given the time, I will just complete this part right now. Okay, you can always draw the compressors and exhausts afterwards. No problem about that. Okay, so we are done with the cylinder and the two 5 by 2 direction control valves. After the 5 by 2 direction control valves, what is the next step? If you remember from yesterday's lecture, now we have to determine which are the, first we have to write the motions with the limit switches, and then we have to decide which are the upper limit switches and which are the lower limit switches. So we again go over here. So this is our motion, right? So how do we know that A plus motion is complete? When A2 sensor is sensed, right? See over here. When the piston A comes completely outwards, which limit switch will be sensed? A2 limit switch will be sensed. So that is what we do over here. How will we know that B plus motion is completed? Because B2 will be sensed. How will we know A minus is completed? Because A1 will be sensed. And similarly, how will we know that B minus is completed? Because B1 will be sensed. Right? So this is how it will work. Right? Additionally, what do we have to do? We have to divide this into groups. Right? I will write this over here. A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. It is A2 over here, B2 over here, A1 over here, and B1 over here. Next step that we have to do, we have to divide this into groups. So group will start from here. What is the rule? That in a group, one alphabet can come only once. So in this group, there is A, there is B, again A is coming. So over here, we will have to stop our group. So this will become our group 1. Now after group 1, this will be our group 2, right? In group 2, there is also 1A, 1B. So that will be our group 2. That is done. So in group 1 and group 2, after marking the group 1 and group 2, what do we have to do? We have to find which are the lower limit switches and higher limit switches. What do we know about the higher limit switches and lower limit switches? The limit switches which go from one group to another are known as lower limit switches. So B1 is a lower limit switch. It is going from group 2 to group 1. So B1 is a lower limit switch. A2 is doing what? A2 is going from group 1 to group 1 only. So A2 is a higher limit switch. What is B2 doing? B2 is going from group 1 to group 2. So it is also a lower limit switch. What is A1 doing? A1 is going from group 2 to group 2. It is inside group 2 only. So it is a higher limit switch. So we have decided which are our higher limit switches and which are our lower limit switches, right? So this part is done. So what can we do over here? Over here, we can create the 4 limit switches. But before creating the 4 limit switches, because there are higher and lower limit switches, we will require a 5 by 2 direction control valve. The higher limit switches will be above the 5 by 2 direction control valve, and the lower limit switches will be below the 5 by 2 direction control valve, right? So there will be an extra 5 by 2 direction control valve over here. As this is a pure pneumatic circuit, everything is pilot actuated, right? So this is our 5 by 2 direction control valve over here. Now there are 4 limit switches. By now you should know that limit switch is nothing but a 3 by 2 spring return direction control valve. Okay, so this is what? This is A1. Similarly, we will have A2. We will have B1 and we will have B2. Okay, so this is done. These 4 are placed. Now which are higher, which are lower? So over here we know B1 and B2 are the lower ones. So we will keep B1 and B2 below the 5 by 2 direction control valve. And we know that A1 and A2 and A1 are the higher ones. So we will keep A2 and A1 above. Now which one comes first? Which lower limit switch comes first? B1 lower limit switch comes first. So we will keep B1 on the left side and the other limit switch, other lower limit switch will be kept on the right side. Okay, so here we will connect B1 over here we will connect B2 over here. Okay, right? I will just put this exhaust over here and here. Okay, just so that I don't forget. This can always be done at the end also, no problem about that. I'm just putting it over here right now, and here is my compressor. Right, so just putting it out here, and just one more compressor for here. Remember, in actual case there will be only one or two compressors. In an actual system, in an actual industry, there will be only one or two compressors, but over here we can draw as many as we like because it is easier, right? Okay, so as soon as B1 is activated, B1 will activate this left position, air will come out from this port number 4, and as soon as B1 is activated, what position, what motion should happen? As soon as B1 is activated, A plus should take place. So for A plus to take place, this should be activated. So what we will do, we will directly put air from here to here, right? This is how A plus will take place. And when B2 gets activated, this position will become activated. Compressed air will go from this right side. And what should happen when B2 gets activated? As soon as B2 gets activated, A minus should happen. So we will connect this to this, right? So this time this is a circuit like this, right? So I will draw it like this. Directly when this left position is activated, A plus should happen. When this right position is activated, first A minus should happen. Now, when should B plus take place? B plus is in the group 1. But so it will take air from group 1. But it should happen after A2 limit switch is activated. So what will we do? A2, right? A2 causes B plus. So A2 will is in which group? It is in group 1. So it will take air from what? It will take air from this line. It will take air from this line, right? So we'll connect it over here, right? And it is going to cause which motion? It is going to cause B plus motion, right? So we'll connect it over here, right? It is causing B plus motion. Then what is happening? We have our A1 sensor. What is A1 sensor doing? A1 sensor is going to, first I will just put over here exhaust and exhaust, right? Where is my A1 limit switch? A1 limit switch is in group 2. So A1 limit switch is getting air from where? A1 limit switch is getting air from group 2. So we connect it to group 2, right? Now what is happening in this? After A1 sensor is sensed, B minus is taking place. So we connect it over here. B minus is taking place, right? So this completes our main circuit. Additionally, because the first motion should be controlled, what will we do? We will just put a 3x2 direction control valve over here. Connect this to this. Connect this to exhaust. This will be a switch. Sorry. Will be a switch. And there will be a compressor over here, right? This is your entire circuit, right? I have drawn it quite big so that you can see all the things, right? I'll just zoom out to see the working. Now as soon as I start it, see, nothing is happening because I haven't started this. Okay, we'll just slow down the simulation a bit so that you will be able to see. As soon as I start this, A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So this was the motion that we started with. This is what we were setting out to achieve, right? A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So we have achieved it using cascading circuit. Now just to understand how this works, let us see. I will start it. Initially this was off. So compressed air was not being sent over here. Now as soon as I turn this on, compressed air is sent forward. This compressed air will be sent further forward till to this 5x2 direction control valve. Then this 5x2 direction control valve will get active. And as soon as this 5x2 direction control valve gets active, see, air will now start flowing to the left port, to the port number 4. Okay, see, air has started flowing to the port number 4. So this air will go directly to this above 5 by 2 direction control valve, and it will also go to this A2 direction, A2 limit switch. But because piston A is in inner position, so A2 is not active. So A2 is not active, so air is not going up to activate cylinder B. So initially only this air will go upwards, and it will cause this port to get activated, this position to get activated. Okay, look at over here. So this gets activated. Just a minute, so that it becomes easier for you to see. Just a minute. Yeah, over here. Okay, so this is active. So as soon as this active, see, compressed air will go to the left side, and because of this, the piston shall start moving outwards. As soon as the piston moved even a little bit outwards, A1 got deactivated, right? So the piston moves completely outwards. Now see, A2 will get activated. See over here. Currently A2 is not allowing the compressed air to go upwards. But as soon as the piston reaches the end point, it has reached the end point, A2 got activated. It is allowing the compressed air to go ahead. Because compressed air goes ahead, position is changed. As soon as position is changed, compressed air is going into the left side of the cylinder B. Piston B starts moving. As soon as piston B moved ahead even a little bit, B1 got deactivated. So B1 got deactivated, so air supply over here will get stopped. Right? Compressed air supply here, the compressed air is getting exhausted. Over there it will get stopped. Cylinder piston B will move outwards. It will now touch B2. As soon as it touches B2, see, B2 will get activated. Compressed air will go from the right side because B1 got deactivated. Compressed air from left side has stopped. As soon as B2 gets activated, compressed air will go from the right hand side. Right? It is going from the right hand side. This position will change. See, this position changed. Now compressed air, for all this time, the compressed air was going through port number 4. But now because this has activated, compressed air will go through port number 2, and port number 4 will have no compressed air. See, compressed air through 4 has stopped. It is going to exhaust, and compressed air is going through port number 2. It is directly going to first A minus. Then it is going to A1 position sensor, and through A1 position sensor to B minus. So first A minus will happen. So this position changed. Piston A shall start moving inwards. See, A1 is happening. Just as A1 started happening, A2 got deactivated. Piston A is moving inwards. As soon as it reaches completely inwards, see, A1 will get activated. So A1 will now get activated. A1 got activated. Air will be sent here. And now this position will change over here. This 5 by 2 direction control valve will change. And cylinder B piston shall start moving inwards. Okay. Again, it will move completely inwards. It will activate B1. B1 will get active. B1 will allow compressed air to go in this direction. This position will become active. Again, through 4, everything will get started. Okay. And again, A plus motion will take place. So this is how the entire system will keep on working. A plus B plus, A minus, B minus. So this is how you can create a cascading circuit for any kind of a circuit which is given to you. Currently we can do it only for 2 cylinders, but no problem. It is in your syllabus for only till 2 cylinders. Okay. So this is how you have to draw this circuit in the exam. So now that we have seen how to create pure pneumatic circuits, we will now be looking how to create electro-pneumatic circuits. See, the main difference between pure pneumatic and electro-pneumatic circuit is that, just a minute. So see, there are either pure pneumatic circuits or electro-pneumatic circuits. Now see, you have to remember that there are several differences between these circuits, right? What is the first difference? In pure pneumatic circuit, no electrical components are used, right? There are no electrical components. In electro-pneumatic circuits, electrical components are used, right? Components are used. In pure pneumatic circuits, we use limit switches. These limit switches are used to know what is the current position of the piston. In electro-pneumatic circuits, what do we do? Rather than using limit switches, we use proximity sensors. Okay, generally we use inductive type proximity sensors to know what is the current position of the piston. Again, in pure pneumatic circuits, what do we do? In pure pneumatic circuits, the 5x2 valve actuation is by pilot operated, right? So the 5x2 valve operation is what? Pilot operated. Whereas in electro-pneumatic circuits, the 5x2 valve is operated using solenoids. So see, in electro-pneumatic circuits, electricity is used to sense the position also and to operate the piston also. But in pure pneumatic circuit, there is no electrical component anywhere, right? Now, what is the advantage of electro-pneumatic circuit over pure pneumatic circuit? See, pure pneumatic circuits are more complicated. They are extremely complicated and require more components. They require a larger number of components to create it. You will see right now when I show you how the electro-pneumatic circuits work, you will see that electro-pneumatic circuits are less complicated and require fewer components. So components required are less. Components. So these require more components. Additionally, whenever you want to make any change, for example, say initially your circuit is A plus B plus A minus B minus. Now you want to convert that circuit into A plus B minus A minus. Then you will have to change the connections physically. So physical connections need to be changed. Where the tubing goes, that thing has to be changed. Physical connections need to be changed. But in case of electro-pneumatic circuits, there is no need to change the physical conditions. No change in physical connections, right? The only connections that need to be changed, rather the only thing that needs to be changed is the circuit, the electronic circuit, which is built into the circuit, right? We will see how that works in a few minutes, right? Then what is the advantage? But where is pure pneumatic circuits are used? Pure pneumatic circuits are used in applications where there is chances of explosion, where even a small spark is not allowed, right? So where electrical sparks are not allowed, right? So what can be example of this? The example of this can be places like where compressed gas is filled into LPG cylinders. So where electrical sparks are not allowed. Over there we use pure pneumatic circuits. But mostly in all other applications where there is no worry about such problems, we use electro-pneumatic circuits, right? Why? Because electro-pneumatic circuits are cheaper, because they require less components, they are less complicated, and whenever you want to change the motion of the pistons, then it is very easy. Just by changing the circuit, you can change the motion of the pistons also. So over here, electro-pneumatics are used widely in industries. So these are the main differences between electro-pneumatic and pure pneumatic circuits, right? So this might be asked in the exam, write a difference between pure pneumatic and electro-pneumatic circuits. So you can write these points. Now just as we learned to control A plus A minus motion of a pure pneumatic piston, in the similar way we will start off with A plus A minus, right? See, how did we do it in our pure pneumatic part? First of all, we learned the circuit for A plus A minus. Then we learned the simple circuit for A plus B plus A minus B minus. Then we learned cascading circuit, and this completed our entire pure pneumatic part. So just like we did for pure pneumatic circuits, similarly we will do for electro-pneumatic circuits. First we will study the A plus A minus motion using electro-pneumatic circuit. Then we will see how to use this to create more complicated motions like A plus B plus A minus B minus. There is also something known as cascading in electropneumatic also. We will see how to make that circuit also. And in the end of electropneumatics, I will teach you a one big, it is quite big as compared to any other circuit. It is a quite big circuit, electropneumatic circuit. But if you remember this one circuit na, you can draw any electropneumatic circuit in your syllabus. For that matter, you can draw any electrohydraulic circuit in your syllabus also with just this one circuit. So it is very important for you to learn this one electropneumatic circuit and everything will be done. But you cannot directly jump to this circuit, right? You have to create a base first. So we will first see how A plus A minus circuit works and then we will go on upwards. Okay. So this is how we will do. So first of all, let us see how to create a electropneumatic circuit, right? So in your pneumatic circuit, see, first I will show pneumatic and electropneumatic side by side. Okay. So in a pneumatic circuit, what did you have? You had a 5 by 2 piston cylinder. Sorry, you had a double acting piston cylinder. Then to control this double acting piston cylinder, you had a 5 by 2 direction control valve, right? This is how it worked. This 5 by 2 direction control valve was what? It was pneumatically actuated, pilot operated on both sides, on left side also, on right side also. Then what did you have? You had two limit switches. You had, if this is cylinder A, then you had limit switch A1 and you had limit switch A2, right? You had a compressor over here. You had exhaust over here, right? And what did you do? You put these two limit switches over here, right? This was one limit switch and similarly you had another limit switch. If you remember this circuit, if you don't remember, you can always go back 2 videos. The first one which I posted on electropneumatics, and in that I have covered this, how this happens. So when A1 sensor is sensed, piston should move forward. When A2 sensor is sensed, piston should move backward. So this is how it would work. Additionally, what? Additionally, you would have a 3 by 2 switch over here. I'll just push it upwards a bit. And you would have a 3 by 2 switch over here to control when it turns on and when it turns off, right? And over here, sorry, over here you would have an exhaust, and just for this once I will show, if you want to do it with a single pneumatic cylinder, single compressor, how can you make the connection? See, you can draw it like this. Sorry, you can draw it like this. Connect it over here, connect it over here. See, this will just make the circuit more complicated because the number of wires is increased. So rather than doing this, just put compressor everywhere. Okay, that is the right thing to do. So this is your A plus A minus circuit in what? In pure pneumatic fashion, right? A plus A minus, A plus A minus. Now this is your pure pneumatic circuit. But in industries, as I told you, pure pneumatic circuits are used very rarely. They are only used in places where there are chances of explosion. So rather than using pure pneumatic circuits, we use electropneumatic circuits. Now see, in electropneumatic circuits, there are mainly two circuits. Actually, there are three circuits, but initially we will just be working on two circuits. Then we will move on to the third circuit part, right? There are two main parts of the circuit. The first part is the pneumatic part and the second part is the electrical part. Okay, so first part is the pneumatic part and second part is the electrical part. See, so whenever you want to do the pneumatic part is very simple and will always remain the same for most conditions. First of all, what do you have to do? You have to do A plus A minus motion. So to do A plus A minus motion in electropneumatic, there is only one alphabet, na? A. So you will require only one double acting cylinder. Now to control this double acting cylinder, what will you require? You will require a 5/2 direction control valve, right? Whenever you have a double acting pneumatic cylinder, you require a 5/2 direction control valve. In this case, I will just put the compressor and exhaust first, right? This will be compressor, this will be exhaust, right? Done. Now in this case, there will be two solenoids. See, over here there are two solenoids. This is solenoid 1, this is solenoid 2. Now you can use any symbol to refer to solenoid 1 and solenoid 2. See, let us say I call it S1 for solenoid 1 and I call it S2 for solenoid 2. Now this is completely random. Okay, I am calling it S1 and S2. So rather than calling it S1 and S2, what I will do, you know, see, when this solenoid is activated, when this left solenoid is activated, what happens? This left position of the valve is activated. Because of this left position of the valve, what happens? The piston moves forward. So what is this solenoid doing? This solenoid is producing A plus motion. So what I will do, I will put the name of this solenoid as SA plus. Okay, I can put it as SA plus, or generally in our syllabus, in most textbooks, it is given as KA plus. Okay, so for solenoids, they use the symbol K. Okay, so this is the naming convention that I will be following. So here it will be Ka plus and here it will be Ka minus. Why? Because K is for the solenoid, K means solenoid, and A plus. Why? Because when this solenoid is activated, it will cause what? It will cause A plus motion. Why A plus motion? Because the name of this cylinder is cylinder A, right? Because there is only one cylinder, we are calling it cylinder A. Right? Now in pure pneumatic circuits, we had limit switches A1 and A2. In electro-pneumatic switches, we do not have limit switches. In electro-pneumatic circuits, we have proximity sensors, but that makes no difference. The proximity sensors are still given the same name. Okay, they are given the same name, A1 and A2. A1 proximity sensor means it is in the leftmost position, that means the piston is completely inside, and A2 means the piston is completely outside. In exam, for drawing this circuit, you can definitely use A1, A2, but another most commonly used naming convention is what? They used A0 for the 0 position and A1 for the external position. Okay, so this is another naming convention. Now see, because there is also A1, A2 over here, what I will just do for now only, for now I will call this cylinder B. I will just completely change the naming convention. See, it makes no difference. Right now I am just doing this to show you that how easy a electro-pneumatic circuit is as compared to your pure pneumatic circuit. That is why I'm just naming this piston cylinder as B. Okay, cylinder B. It makes no difference whatsoever. Okay, so see, this much, as I told you in the beginning, in electro-pneumatic circuit there are two parts. There is the pneumatic circuit and there is the electrical circuit. So this completes the pneumatic part of your electro-pneumatic circuit. Now what I will do, I will draw the complete electrical part right now. I will explain it to you afterwards. First I will just draw it to explain to you how this system works, that how there is a pneumatic circuit, how there is a electrical circuit. Okay, I will explain how to draw the electrical circuit afterwards. Right now I will just draw it. Okay, so over here, first of all I will need 24 volt. So here is my 24 volt, here is my 0 volt. Initially it will be start push button. I will explain all this to you, all these symbols, how to draw the circuit, what is the latching circuit, what are relays, how relays are used. Everything will be explained to you in the following lectures. Okay, just look at it right now. Don't worry about anything else right now. Okay, so this becomes my relay 0. This becomes my start. I will write SRT for start, and this is my stop, STP. These are push buttons for start and stop. And this is also relay zeros NO connection. I will explain everything afterwards, right? Don't worry, right? So I will just delete the, okay, sorry, just put it over here, connect this over here. So when B plus is active, when should B plus be active? When B0 is sensed. So when B0 is sensed, I have to activate B1, sorry, KB1, KB plus when B0 is sensed, and similarly I have to do for B1 and KB minus, KB minus, right? All these things will be explained to you in some time, right? Okay, so right now I will start my circuit. See, right now I have started my circuit. See, if you look at only the only the pneumatic parts, you will clearly see that in the pure pneumatic circuit the number of components is so high, but in your electro-pneumatic circuit the number of pneumatic components is very less. Yes, definitely there is a complete different electrical circuit which has to be drawn, which has to be controlled, but this circuit is nothing but a simple computer program. Okay, this circuit can be drawn like a computer program in your PLC, and you can achieve this. So this is very easy. Rather than changing all these connections manually, these connections have to be changed manually. Okay, so if I want to do something extra in this, then I will have to put a different limit switch. Say if I want a limit switch in center, then I will have to put a different limit switch over here physically over here, and then I have to put the connections to the tubing, to the limit switch, etc, etc. Here if I want a sensor, proximity sensor in between, I just have to put a proximity sensor in between. I have to make a few electrical connections, and then I can write the change in the code itself. So it is much easier to do it in electro-pneumatic circuit than it is in pure pneumatic circuit. Okay, we will see each and everything, but this is just an introduction session for you. Okay, I started. Now see, as soon as I push the start button, see what is happening. This has completely, okay, sorry, I just forgot to name this. This is also R0. See, as soon as I push this start switch, cylinder B is moving forward, cylinder B is moving backward. B plus, B minus. See, in between you see some kind of changes that are happening, right? So this is what is happening because of the electrical connections and because of the proximity sensors B0 and B1. Okay, I will just pause it and show you. See, piston B has gone completely inside. It has reached B0. Hence, B0 has become active and KB plus is getting electricity. As soon as KB plus gets electricity, see, it will change the position. See over here, it will now change the position. Okay, see, it changed the position. Now piston B shall start moving forward. As soon as the piston B starts moving forward, B0 will get deactivated. As soon as B0 gets deactivated, see, this connection is now open. Piston will move completely forward till B1 is activated. Because B1 is activated, KB minus gets activated. KB minus got activated, piston B shall start moving inside. Okay, I will explain this entire circuit, how to start drawing this circuit, what this circuit means, what are these SRT, STP symbols, what is this relay, what is this thing, valve solenoid that we have drawn over here. Everything will be explained, but it will be explained in the next lecture. Okay, so this was just an introduction to electro-pneumatic circuits. The actual electro-pneumatic circuit, see, we have drawn two parts of the pneumatic circuit. This is what? This is your pneumatic part. This is your electrical part. Now this electrical part is further divided into two parts. Okay, that we will see in the next lecture when we go to the more complicated circuits. But this is how this system works, and this is the same system that is used in almost all industries that use pneumatic systems now. Okay, so this is how the pneumatic systems actually work in the industries. So if you understand how these basic circuits work, it will be very useful to you when you go to your industry. Okay, so thank you. We will see how to make these electro pneumatic circuits in the next lecture.